Hello and welcome to the Retrospective Review Christmas Special. Robert Zemeckis has directed some of my absolute favorite films like Back to the Future, A Christmas Carol, and of course, The Polar Express. So it was rather disappointing that I had never really known his name up until very recently. Growing up, I always loved The Polar Express. I would watch it year-round as a kid, even in the summer. So with a film this close to my heart, I was really excited to rewatch it. Even recently, when I heard the theme song again, my heart just filled with joy. But I was also worried that it might not hold up to my nostalgic memories. And boy was I wrong. This movie is almost as fantastic and amazing as I remember it. This is The Polar Express.
On Christmas Eve many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound I was afraid I'd never hear. Well, you coming?
Where?
Why, to the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express! All aboard!
So this movie is all about a kid who doesn't seem to believe in Santa anymore, and so he takes a ride on a magic train called the Polar Express. Where?
Why, to the North Pole, of course!
I love that line, it's just so good. So on the train he meets lots of new friends and learns more about Christmas, all on their way to meet Santa Claus, who sounds an awful lot like the conductor, who sounds an awful lot like the hobo, who sounds an awful lot like the narration. This is such a unique and original idea based on the children's book by Chris Van Helsberg, and everything about this idea is perfect for representing the overall idea and themes of the movie, and also sets the tone really well for that mix of whimsy, whimsical magic, and machinery throughout the entire movie. Now I love when a movie's opening scene feels like its own short film. The Dark Knight did this very well, and this movie does that beautifully. So the sound design for this sequence is phenomenal. Everything from the radiator to the bell all sound perfect, sound on point, and really match what the scene is going for. The animation in this scene looks fantastic, from the shadows at the lighting, and this particular shot, which I can never possibly forget. And all of it builds up to the reveal of the Polar Express, which is revealed so beautifully. That's one hell of a poster shot. I love that this scene has really no music in it until the kid finally hops onto the train, and when he does, the music absolutely swells. Speaking of the music, this soundtrack is fantastic. Alan Silvestri is such a beautiful composer, and his work really shines in this movie. The Hot Chocolate song and the Polar Express song are both so upbeat and exciting. They make you want to get up and dance and sing about Christmas. Now, the main theme for this movie is on another level for me. My heart literally swells with Christmas joy every time I hear it. It hits all the emotional beats and gives you everything you could possibly ask for. All of the whimsy and awe-inspiring scenery of this movie is only amplified by billions from this song. Now, the animation and modeling is one of the places I have some issues with this movie. The environments and establishing shots are beautiful for the most part, and the camera angle and the styles all definitely help amplify that. Although when they get to the North Pole, it looks a little bit standard and kind of loses some of the magic we had in the rest. I mean, look at this place. It looks more like Stalingrad than the North Pole. Though it does generally match the tone very well, it just doesn't feel as magical as it really should. The character modeling is really weird for a lot of the characters. I mean, for the hobo, the conductor, and the main kid, it looks perfect, but for some of the supporting characters, it looks really off. Especially for the little girl and for Billy, who actually looks a lot like Anakin Skywalker from The Phantom Menace. The animation, on the other hand, is on point the entire time. Everything looks and feels real. It's all very smooth motions. Nothing seems choppy or unnatural. And of course, the settings and the camera techniques really elevate that as well. Especially in sequences like when the kid is trying to find the little girl and the conductor to give her her ticket back, or when the kid and the hobo are talking on top of the train. Speaking of character designs, the characters themselves are really fantastic. Each of the cast has a very clear purpose and varying different reasons to be interested in them. Well, most of them. The main kid really fits this idea of a child who's on the verge of growing up. And of course, that's really the soul of this movie, growing up. Both the conductor and the hobo are fantastic characters played brilliantly by Tom Hanks. They both seem to be two sides of the same coin, representing the split in our main character. The conductor really represents the side of the kid that wants to believe and wants to stay a child, but the hobo represents his more cynical side. And I'll just let him explain it for you.
Well, I want to believe. But
you don't want to be bamboozled. You don't want to be led down the primrose path. You don't want to be conned or duped. Have the wool pulled over your eyes. Hoodwinked. You don't want to be taken for a ride. Railroaded. Seeing is believing. Am I right?
This movie is definitely known for its creepier scenes, and although they didn't really creep me out as much as I remember, they certainly will creep out a little kid like they're supposed to. The Scrooge scene is especially good because of its overall significance to the movie.
A Scrooge! Ebenezer Scrooge! North Pole, Santa Claus, this train, it's all a bunch of humbug! A bout of indigestion. Oh yeah, I know what you are. You're a doubter! A doubter you don't believe! You're a doubter! You don't believe!
really personifies the metaphor I talked about earlier of the hobo representing the kid's skepticism and cynicalness. And it's a representation of him turning into that same bitter, sad old Scrooge if he doesn't change his ways. Overall, I love when kids' films have scary moments like this, because even as a little kid, I always loved the occasional scare, as it's always enjoyable, as long as they don't go overboard with it like some other Christmas movies. Christmas is such a special time of year. It's been a massive part of Western culture since its conception, and it's been a huge part of American history and culture since our country's founding. It holds such a special place in our hearts regardless of age, and I think at a time like this we really need to all be reminded of the kindness and giving spirit of Christmas. This movie is perfect for that. It puts anyone of any age in the Christmas spirit. Polar Express is, in its own way, magical. Thank you all again for watching this installment of the Retrospective review. I would greatly appreciate if you left a like, wrote a comment, and maybe even subscribed. I'm gonna go make some hot chocolate. Thank you all again, and have a Merry Christmas.